get this set up here. All right, everyone in the jail, will you please stand up and raise your right hand to be sworn? Are they standing? Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? All right, thank you. You may be seated. We are here for 24s. We have Ms. Matarino in the courtroom for the state. Mr. Wilson is here for the defense, public defender's office. You folks are here for your first appearance. By the way, NJC, any need for translation with this group? All right, thank you. When we call your name, we will advise you of the charge or charges pending against you. And address the conditions of your pretrial release. If I issue a no contact order in your case, then you may not have any contact with the alleged victim directly or indirectly. That means you may not contact that person in any way, shape, or form, and no one else may contact that person for you. If I issue a no weapons order in your case, then you must deliver all firearms to the sheriff as a condition of your release. You have the right to remain silent. Everything you say today will be recorded, may be used against you later. You also have the right to an attorney. If you have a private attorney, then please tell me that when we call your name. If you'd like the public defender, then I'll appoint one to represent you. First up is Robin Bender. All right. Well, then we will proceed in his absence. He's here on the charge of false info to a law enforcement officer causing adverse effect to another. And Ms. Matarino, I've got an issue with PC on this case. False info, as you know, we see that quite a bit, is typically a misdemeanor. What elevates it to a felony, and specifically in this case, is if that false info causes an adverse effect on another person. And in this case, the allegation is that Mr. Bender used his brother's identification. I didn't see anything in the booking sheet regarding any adverse consequence. I understand the possibilities are endless when you're dealing with identity theft or fraud, but I didn't see anything articulated in the booking sheet regarding any specific adverse consequence on the brother. So, do you have any comments on PC on the elevated charge as a felony? All right, so I do find probable cause on the lesser offense, false info to Leo, which is a misdemeanor. Any other comments on bond? All right, bond is $2,500. Okay, Jose Fuentes is charged with counterfeit bill or promissory note and grand theft. Sir, have you applied for a public defender?
Yes, sir.
All right, public defender is appointed. Mr. Wilson, as you know, the issuing judge has already made a finding of probable cause at the time of the issuance of the arrest warrant. Do you have any comments on bond?
Just the standard.
State? And the issue judge did set bond at $15,000 per count. That's the order of the court. I've also issued a no contact order for the alleged victim. Okay, thank you, Mr. Fuentes. Good luck to you. Bradley Young is here on a violation of state probation. Mr. Young, have you applied for a public defender?
Yes.
Public defender is appointed. Your presiding judge has already made a finding of probable cause and set no bond. Mr. Wilson, anything else from you? State? And did the alleged violation in the instant case occur while he was out on bond on the other charge? Well, the VOP warrant indicates a failure to report on January 27th of this year. So I would need to know when he was out on bond. Sorry, let's see, failed to report. No, sorry, he was on January 27th, he was instructed to report monthly, and then he failed to report on February 24th. So was he on bond prior to February 24th? Mr. Wilson, I believe I appointed your office on this case, right? The violation of state probation. What's your position on coming off bond on the other misdemeanor charge?
Well, I don't have enough information on when he got out of bond.
All right, state's motion is granted, and you have a proposed order for me? Okay, thank you, Mr. Young. We're switching.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Is this the rest of them? Wait, so this is it for Collier, so just go from the top. All right, good morning. Can you all hear me?
Hear you very well, sir.
All right, very good. Thank you. Can you all please stand up, raise your right hand, and take an oath?
Say your right hand.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Hold on, sir, 1 minute, please. Listen up. Can you stand up? Stand up. Raise your hand, please. Hands. You all right?
All right, that's all right. I'll talk to everybody else here. Those of you standing, do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? All right, thank you. You may be seated. NJC, do we need translation for anyone here?
We have one Creole gentleman.
And is that Gene Dalbariste?
That's correct, sir.
He's got an attorney. I'm supposed to call his attorney when we call his name, so I'll speak to everyone else for now. Folks, you all are here for your first appearance. You do have the right to an attorney. If you have a private attorney, then please tell me that when we call your name. If you'd like the public defender, then I will appoint one to represent you. When I call your name, I will advise you of the charge or charges pending against you and determine whether there was probable cause for your arrest. If I issue a no contact order in your case, then you may not have any contact with the individuals listed directly or indirectly. That means you may not contact those individuals in any way, shape, or form, and no one else may contact them for you. If I issue a no weapons order in your case, then you must deliver all firearms to the sheriff as a condition of your release. Do You all have the right to remain silent. Everything you say today will be recorded and may be used against you later. Our prosecutor is Ms. Matarino here in the courtroom. Mr. Wilson is here for the Public Defender's Office. First up is Jessica Baker. She is a refusal, so we'll proceed in her absence. Fugitive from justice, 3 counts out of Lee County. I've read the paperwork, find probable cause, no bond per count. Rosemary Batista. She bonded. All right. Batista bonded. How about Kirsten Bruton? All right, we'll proceed in her absence based on her refusal. She's charged with possession of marijuana and paraphernalia. I've read the paperwork, find probable cause. State, any comments on bond? Is there a basis for that? All right, bond is $3,000 per count. Sarah Medicus, violation of state probation. I've read the paperwork, find probable cause, no bond per count pursuant to her issuing or presiding judge. Elizabeth Simmons. All right, thank you. Ms. Simmons, you're here as a fugitive from justice out of Lee County, dealing in stolen property. Fugitive from justice out of Lee County, false verification to a pawnbroker. I've read the paperwork, find probable cause, no bond per count. Thank you, Ms. Simmons.
Go sit over there. Go sit over there.
David Bendel. He's a refusal. All right, so we'll proceed in his absence. I've read the paperwork. I do find probable cause. Mr. Wilson, do you know whether he applied first? All right. State, any comments on bond? I have signed a no weapons order in this case. Bond on count 1 is $10,000, $2,000 on count 2. Andrew Bibb. All right, this is a violation of state probation. His presiding judge has already made a finding of probable cause and said no bond. John Boise, charged with petty theft. Mr. Boise, did you apply for a public defender?
Well, I did, but I have a question, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I actually recognize that I have some mental health issues that I wanted to be able to have support from the prosecutor in order to get released without bail because I don't have any opportunity to, and I'm going to go seek treatment immediately today if that can happen because I don't have any way to post my bond, and I've been dealing with things for a long time. Today's the last 24 hours, the first time in my life I recognize it.
Okay, thank you. And you said you did apply for the public defender, correct?
Yeah.
All right, public defender's appointed. I've read the paperwork. I do find probable cause. Mr. Wilson, any comments on bond? State? All right, bond is $3,000. No trespass at Coastland Center Mall, and the state's request for the Whitman Act warrant is granted. Thank you, sir. Ricardo Concepcion, thank you.
I have no bond. Why is that?
I did set a bond. And then I signed a Whitman Act warrant. Mr. Concepcion, order to take into custody. Have you applied for a public defender? Public defender is appointed. Mr. Wilson, this looks like an order signed by his presiding judge revoking bond and setting no bond. Any comments from you? I do find probable cause based on my review of the order signed by the presiding judge, no bond. Thank you, sir. out on bond on that case as well? Because that, apparently the basis for the order here revoking bond in 20 CF 1134 is that he picked up a new violation while on pretrial release.
Your Honor,
Yes?
that charge was older than the charge I had bond out on.
Okay, well, I've appointed a public defender. Hold on a second, I'm asking the prosecutor about the timing here. You're going to be held on no bond in this case pursuant to an order issued by your presiding judge. I'm only trying to determine whether to revoke bond in another case. Okay, and you're asking me to revoke bond in that case? Based on what? What new law violation? He's not here today on a new law violation. He's here on a pickup order revoking bond in an existing case. So I'm going to deny that request. He's being held no bond in this case pursuant to the order issued by his presiding judge. If you feel like revoking bond in another case is appropriate, then you can file that motion in front of his judge. Robert Hannon is charged with resisting without violence, criminal mischief under 200 and disorderly intoxication. Sir? Yes? You would ask what? All right, so we'll return to 24's 228.
Judge, Mr. Concepcion had a question for you.
Well, what's the question, Mr. Concepcion? I did appoint a lawyer to represent you. You should probably just talk to your lawyer.
Well, my question was just that on you're revoking my bond, that case was an old case that just came up.
I'm not debating, sir. I'm not going to debate it with you. I didn't revoke your bond. Your presiding judge revoked your bond, so you can take it up with him.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. And Hannon is a return to 24's tomorrow. Robert Hicks is charged with driving on a suspended second or subsequent and resisting without. Mr. Hicks, did you apply for a public defender?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right, public defender is appointed. I've read the paperwork, find probable cause. Mr. Wilson, comments on bond? Go ahead. officer conducts or effectuates a traffic stop and is checking for warrants, checking on the validity of the driver's driving record, driver's license, that person can simply run away.
Your Honor, I'm still by the case law
Or was that a traffic stop? The officer conducted a traffic stop.
in this case, yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry, resisting, jumped out of the passenger seat. That case, were found, and not last level, but, court points out that the officer has to be engaged in lawful use of legal duty. In this case, it would be his legal duty, or the exercise of legal duty would be run arrest or transport back. At that point, if Mr. Hicks would have taken off the brand, then yes, he would, and that would be resistant. However, here the officer was still sitting in his car, Mr. Hicks still got money. The officer did give chase, and when he did catch up to him, Mr. Hicks did comply and won the rest of the day.
State?
Your Honor, the state would argue that Stephanie wasn't executing a lawful duty, a traffic stop is a lawful duty. Prior to this individual speaking on the street, speaking on the running, and he did advise the officer that his license was suspended, which is now out of the clause that he has committed another violation. So
What's the citation for that 03 case?
It's 855 Southern Second, 1262, Your Honor.
JP?
Yes, APB state.
These facts in JP are different, okay, for a variety of reasons. The officer's first interaction with JP was in a parking lot of a 7-Eleven, and that's it. It began as a consensual encounter, and it says mere presence in the parking lot of an open quasi-public business is insufficient to constitute the crime of trespass. Later, JP was the passenger in a car, not the driver, when he jumped out of the car and fled. Those facts are sufficient to distinguish the facts in the instant case where your client was the driver of the vehicle. The officer asked him for his identification, was in the middle of the investigation, running wants and warrants checks, and I do find probable cause. Do you have any comments on Bob? State? Bond on count 1 is $1,000. Bond on count 2 is $2,000. Thank you, sir.
Attorney, this is a question for you. And thank you, I apologize for that. I didn't totally stupid of myself.
Well, that's all right. Thank you. Andre Lyons. Mr. Lyons is charged with possession of cocaine, possession of marijuana, possession of paraphernalia, driving on a suspended license. Mr. Lyons, did you apply for a public defender?
Yes, I am.
Public defender is appointed. I've read the paperwork, find probable cause. Mr. Wilson, comments on bond. I'm told he also qualifies for pretrial release. Are you requesting that in the alternative?
Yes, Your Honor.
State? All right, so bond on count 1 is $5,000 or pretrial release. Count 2 is $2,000 or pretrial release. Count 3 is $2,000 or pretrial release. Count 4 is $2,000 or pretrial release. Thank you, sir. Emanis Metellius. All right, so do you want to try again tomorrow, or I can appoint your office and proceed today? So do you want me to appoint? Public defender is appointed contingent upon his application. He still has to fill out an application and qualify. So Mr. Wilson, would you like to proceed today in your client's absence?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, possession of marijuana less than 20 grams. Go ahead.
I don't have a problem right now.
Sure, go ahead.
So as far as bond goes, Your Honor, in this case, there is going to be an issue search, and when he was taken into custody, being correct, my understanding is that Greg requires that there be, reasonable enough suspicion this person was being presumed to others.
State? All right, bond is $1,000. Brandon Morales. Mr. Morales, you're charged with DUI. Have you applied for a public defender?
Yes, sir, I did hear.
All right, public defender is appointed. I've read the paperwork. I do find probable cause. Mr. Wilson, comments on bond. State? All right, bond is $1,000. Additional condition is no possession or consumption of alcohol. Thank you, Mr. Morales. Daniel Morin. No valid driver's license. Mr. Morin, have you applied for a public defender? Do you plan to hire a lawyer, represent yourself, or apply for a public defender?
Represent myself.
So you want to proceed today without a lawyer?
Yes.
All right, I've read the paperwork. I do find probable cause. Do you have any comments on bond?
No, it's $500, right?
I'm about to set it. It hasn't been set yet. You're just requesting the scheduled bond of 500?
I've read the paperwork. I didn't know what to do.
Okay, that's all right. Stay. All right, so bond is $500 or pretrial release. You're also eligible for that, so you have that as an option. Okay, thank you, sir. Adolph Perez. Mr. Perez. Trespass and resisting without violence. Mr. Perez, have you applied for a public defender?
He has trouble hearing, he's telling me.
Mr. Perez, can you hear me? You're charged with trespass and resisting arrest without violence. Did you apply for a public defender? Do you want a public defender?
Yeah.
Public defender's appointed. Mr. Wilson, I've read the paperwork. Find probable cause. Comments on bond. State? All right, sir. Bond is $2,500 per count. Additional condition is no trespass. Gulfgate Plaza on East Tamiami Trail. And the state's motion to revoke bond in 21 CF 236 is granted. Thank you, sir.
What did you say it was, sir?
2,500 per count. But I also revoked your bond in 21 CF 236.
What would be the total?
The total in this case is $5,000. Thank you, sir. James Prudhomme is charged with. He's a Mr. Prudhomme, do you think any? Okay, sir, that's it. You can talk to your lawyer. NJC, do you think Mr. Prudhomme would be able to join us tomorrow?
They said that he had medical reasons. I think he's detoxing. Right.
All right.
That's what that way. He's
So,
detoxing.
Mr. Wilson, do you want me to appoint your office contingent upon his application?
Yes, Your Honor, I think it'd be okay.
All right, so the public defender is appointed contingent upon his qualification. I've read the paperwork. I do find probable cause. Mr. Wilson, comments on bond.
Schedule bond.
State?
Your Honor, the state would
All right, so bond on count one is $7,500, $2,500 on count two. And the basis for these Whitman Act warrants is because he's out on bond in 20 CF 16913 and 20 CF 16743. So your request for the Whitman Act warrant in each case is granted. Brett Spalding.
Medical isolation, Your Honor.
All right. So if he's in isolation, he probably won't be able to join us tomorrow. Mr. Wilson, would you like to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, let's proceed.
Okay, so I'll appoint a public defender to represent Mr. Spalding. I've read the paperwork, find probable cause. Mr. Wilson, comments on bond? State? Now, based on that request, Mr. Wilson, do you still want to proceed in his absence, or do you want to try again tomorrow? And I ask because I know you had originally said he'll have the opportunity to bond, but apparently there's the motion to revoke bond. So we can proceed if you want to, or we can try again tomorrow.
You know, I think it's okay to proceed. I mean, I'm interpreting medical isolation.
Okay. Well, I think he would not be available tomorrow either. So my interpretation is the same. I'm just giving you this choice. So you want to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, bond on count one is 500, bond on count two is 2,000, and the state's motion to revoke bond 21 MM 184 is granted. Andrew Ward, Mr. Ward, charged with driving on a suspended license. Sir, did you apply for a public defender?
Yes, sir.
All right, sorry, you said yes? All right, public defender is appointed. Mr. Wilson, I've read the paperwork. I do find probable cause. Do you have comments on bond? State? All right, your bond is $500. Thank you, Mr. Ward. All right, and we have, I believe, NJC, one individual left, Gene Dalbaris. And for him, I need to call his attorney. Mandarino, I have an email here from Mrs. Orange indicating that she does represent Mr. Dalbariste. Just deciding how much detail to go into here. She's got a function today, and she was planning to step out of that function to appear telephonically for her client. And so I understand it may be difficult for her. That's why she may not have answered the phone on the first 2 times. I will try again here for the 3rd time, and if that doesn't work, then we'll roll him until tomorrow. Maybe she can be available either in person or telephonically. All right. All right, NJC, he's got private counsel who's unavailable right now, so we're going to hold and return tomorrow to see if she can join us either in person or on the telephone, but that'll be it for this morning.
You understand?
Thank you.
You're gonna work tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
Okay?
All right, thank you, NJC. Rich, which county are we going to here? Well, we'll find out when we get there. All right.
Welcome to Unified Conferencing.
Good morning, can you hear me? Hello? Hello, can anyone hear me? Does that say Hendry on the blue stripe there? Can you hear me? Hendry County? We cannot hear you. You have another place? Can we go to the other one? Oh, that was a phone call to them? Oh, okay, thank you. I thought she was making lunch plans. Yeah. Did you call somebody in Hendry? Were you successful? Okay, thank you. I will wait. Yeah. Hello,
Hi, this is Sal.
this is Orange. How are you today?
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm speaking at a funeral and I missed your call as soon as they called me up to go speak. I apologize.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I knew that you had an event this morning. We've switched over. We're now in Hendry County, and then I've got Glades County. And when I couldn't reach you, I told NJC we'd roll your case until tomorrow. Does that work for you? And you can appear on the telephone?
I Okay, I'll make it work.
All right, do you want me to call the same number?
Yes, that's fine, Your Honor.
Okay, well, we'll speak tomorrow morning then.
All right,
Thank you. All right, bye-bye. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that's promising. All right, good morning, Hendry County. Can you all hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you. You all are here for your first appearance. Does anyone need translation over there?
No, sir.
All right, you have the right to an attorney. If you have a private attorney, then please tell me that when we call your name. If you'd like the public defender, then I will appoint one to represent you. When we call your name, I will advise you of the charge or charges pending against you and address the conditions of your pretrial release. You have the right to remain silent. Everything you say today will be recorded, may be used against you later. Matthew Schminke, charged with petty theft.
Yes, sir.
All right, the charge is petty theft. I've read the paperwork. I do find probable cause. Sir, do you want the public defender to represent you?
Yes, sir. I was told to inform you that I have paperwork coming from Oscar Herrera. What it is, it's a big supplement tag. I have seafood company, and I guess when they were repainting the trailers, they switched the tags on the trailers.
Okay.
And I've had that tag for over a year now. We could use it to deliver seafood. Well, I guess because he's been getting tolls in the mail, and it was a seafood company name he didn't recognize. He reported it stolen, and it was a big misunderstanding. So I have a affidavit or whatever's notarized document that's on the way to the jail right now from Oscar.
Okay.
I gave you his contact information.
Well, I'm not going to call.
And
Maybe it is. I'm not going to call Oscar, but I'll take that into account when I set your bond. State, any comments from Ms. Medarino? Any comments from you? Mr. Wilson? All right. Bond is $500. Thank you, sir. Rich, do you want this?
Yes, sir.
Alexis Rio. All right, you're here on an FTA, driving on a suspended license. Do you want the public defender to represent you?
Well,
we were trying to fix that in the morning, yesterday, before I turned myself in, because I got the court date mixed up, and
Okay.
I was just worried.
Well, I'm not asking you, sir, I'm not asking you about the facts of the case. I'm asking if you want a public defender.
I don't think I need one to do it.
Okay, well, so,
Say no.
well, it's up to you. You can either decline, or you can ask for a public defender. Or you can hire a private lawyer, or you can represent yourself. Those are your your options.
I just declined.
You're declining, okay. And your explanation, I know that you were trying to tell me an explanation. That's something you need to tell the presiding judge, not me. I'm here just to determine whether you want a lawyer. I'm here to appoint a public defender and determine probable cause. Your presiding judge has already said no bond, so there's no bond in this case. Your explanation has to be given to him. Okay, thank you, sir. Roselle Nelson. Sure.
So I'm still up with no bond.
Correct. Okay.
So further notice, or
You're gonna talk to your presiding judge. Bless you. All right, is this Mr. Nelson? All right, Mr. Nelson, probation violation. There is a warrant in here. Your presiding judge has already made a finding of probable cause and set bond at $15,000. Do you want a lawyer?
I've got a public defender on this case.
Well, you may have a public defender on the underlying charges. I'm asking if you also want one on the VOP.
I turned myself in yesterday.
Okay, so I'm going to say yes, because you already have a public defender and bond is $15,000. Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
Yes, sir.
Angela Cornelius is also here on a violation of probation. I've read the paperwork. I do find probable cause. Your presiding judge has set bond at $25,000. Do you want the public defender?
Yes, sir.
All right, public defender is appointed. Thank you, and thank you, Hendry County. That's it.
Welcome to Unified Conferencing.
Hello, Glades County, can you hear me? Can anyone hear me in Glades County? All right, you all are here for a first appearance. You have the right to an attorney. If you have a private attorney, then please tell me that when we call your name. Does anyone need translation? Do both of you speak English? You have the right to an attorney. If you have a private attorney, then please tell me that. If you want the public defender, then I'll appoint one to represent you. When I call your name, I'll advise you of the charge pending and address the conditions of your pretrial release. You have the right to remain silent. Everything you say today will be recorded, may be used against you later. Arina Vasquez, charged with possession of marijuana over 20 grams. Ma'am, do you want the public defender to represent you? Pardon me? All right, public defender is appointed. I've read the paperwork. I do find probable cause. Mr. Wilson, any comments on bond? State? Bond is $5,000. Thank you. Kenneth Bryant. Mr. Bryant is charged with possession of marijuana over 20 grams and possession of paraphernalia. Do you want the public defender? All right, public defender is appointed. I've read the paperwork. I do find probable cause. Mr. Wilson, comments on bond? State? All right, bond on count 1 is 5,000, count 2 is 2,000. Thank you, Mr. Bryant. And thank you, Glades County. All right, I believe that completes all of our dockets. Anything further to come before the court? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.